We think karma is we did bad, therefore we deserve bad. We did good, therefore we get good. It's bullshit. You are holding this karmic conscious piece that's actually impacting you in this present day reality. Even these little things that you think are no big deal and are impacting you in this life could have so many threads to so many things that you've got no idea about, and people are walking around with this.
Welcome back to the Liberate Your Bliss podcast. We are kicking off part 2 of my episode with the amazing Kristy after we did an exchange of energy sessions. So if you're listening to this, again, I would pop over to YouTube and make sure you're watching because we're going to be showing you the depth of what happens with energy work. You'll see the emotional releases and the pain released from the body, as well as what it takes to be a healer. If you haven't watched part 1 of this episode, I highly recommend popping over and watching that as well. But in this episode, we're really going to dive into shamanism and animal guides and how when we're working with spirituality and we're working in healing containers, the depth that goes on interdimensionally between realms and how using animal guides and angels can really help assist the process where our mind can make sense of what's going on in a space that doesn't really make sense. And we're really going to dive deeper into past life work, karma, and resolving consciousness. And let's dive in. Welcome back, Kristy, to another episode of Liberate Your Bliss. And let's really dive into what in the fucking hell happened in that healing today. I really do think that the videographer may quit his job after how insane that was. And I'm not sure if both of us belong in the loony bin or what.
So funny. Actually, when I got home from the healing, because my partner is doing all the video editing, he's got a new guy working for him. He did pre-warn him it was going to be weird, so he was prepared. But I got home and I was like, "Hey, has Ludwig quit?" And he was like, "What?" And I'm like, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, haha, no, he's all good." And I saw him today, and he didn't look at me any differently. So how beautiful is that? Maybe we don't belong in the loony bin.
Maybe not, but it was funny because at the end of your healing, we started laughing, and we were like, honestly, I think about this sometimes, like, maybe the homeless people that are just out talking to trees and just roaming around without the attachments to things, like maybe they're more enlightened than we are.
I feel like I know that's true. I have had that vision and that download in an ayahuasca journey and time again. Like when you can really see the veils beneath the veils and like open yourself up to like the interdimensionality that is right here, right now. We just can't see it. Like there is so much going on right here, right now that we aren't even present and aware to that. Yeah, maybe they are present and aware to. So who is really living in reality? This is some like next level matrix.
No,
shit.
but it really is. And it's funny because as human beings, if you are not in the norm of society, the norm, right? You're atypical, like I'm atypical. You would be diagnosed with ADHD, whatever it is that you're autism.
Asperger's,
all of these Asperger's, all of these different atypical that don't fit the societal norm. But I actually believe that like having those sensory perceptions of what's going on, the sensitivities, I actually believe that these people, including myself, were more attuned to the inter-realms, the interdimensions. It just doesn't make sense to the typical person.
I agree. And I think as children, we are more in tune with all of that, and then that gets taken away from us because we feel we have to be put in the norm. And that was a big part of the healing for me yesterday, and why it was so funny, and we laughed at the end about the loony bin, because that is a part of my consciousness. Okay, we're going big field here. That's a part of my consciousness that has been an incarnation that I've connected with a few times, that my family in that whatever time, space, dimension that happened in put me into the loony bin because I was aware and I was like in a straitjacket and left alone in the loony bin, just completely trapped. And I'm telling you, like in this lifetime, if my dog is lying on the sheet this side and my partner's this side, I'm freaking out because I can't move. And that scares the absolute shit out of me. So it was funny. At the end, I was like, said something about the loony bin and I'm like, well, YouTube's gonna see it all now. Welcome.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you that aren't aware or haven't read Many Souls, Many Masters or Soul Journeys and these different books that talk about this, there are past lives.
Yep.
We have incarnated many, many times.
Yep.
There is no birth and death. Energy doesn't die. argue about this till the cows come home. Is that what you say? Till the cows come home? Maybe throw me in the loony bin. But it really is true that this consciousness is forever expanding. It's forever creating, and it always will be. And truly, if you watched last season of my podcast when I had
Misha on?
when I had Misha on, and we talked about that last thought before death creates your next life, I really do kind of see that could be reality now.
Yeah, we're just on this epic soul journey, and I do think there's like newer souls and older souls, and I believe everyone that's come here to Earth at this time has come here for a specific reason. We're helping to resolve the karma of Mother Earth and helping her to ascend and create a whole new universe, apparently, like pretty way out there cool stuff. But there's a lot that we are working through, and that with what we even said on the last podcast when we talked about your session, like people walking around with all of this stuff, all of this karma, all of this unresolved stuff from past incarnations, and sometimes even incarnations that aren't on Earth. Like your consciousness is that huge, maybe on a different star system, that you are holding this karmic conscious piece that's actually impacting you in this present day reality. Currently I'm in the process of doing an Akashic record reading with Heidi, who's one of your teachers this year, and you've done an Akashic record reading with as well. I was a little girl who was a seer, and this all ties into exactly what we went through in the healing as well. But basically, she told the townspeople what was going to happen in the future, because she could see it in the water that she used to go look at and, you know, read the energies and have all those extra sensory gifts. And she got drowned in the water. And in this lifetime, I can now, but I could not put my head underwater. Like going out into the ocean, I would be battling off a freaking panic attack. When you do swimming lessons as a little kid, to pass grade 1, all you have to do is put your head underwater. I think I got stuck at grade 1 like 5 times, that they just let me go to grade 2 because like this kid's way too old for grade 1, but she just won't put her head underwater. Like it's too real not to be real. So even these little things that you think are no big deal and are impacting you in this life could have so many threads to so many things that you've got no idea about, and people are walking around with this. So if you're a healer, be aware of the black box that you could potentially be opening up for people.
Yeah, and that's so big. I know for people watching this, Kristy talks very big concept, very big consciousness. She's done a lot of work. Whenever I do healing with her, I never have any idea what's going to happen. All I know is that I'm going to keep her safe, and I'm going to allow her to do whatever she's going to do, and I'm not going to judge her. So you'll see in this episode, if you're watching it, so many different things happen. It's not just a simple follow the leg like mine was, where there was a physical injury from this life that we worked through. This thread was so multifaceted across so many dimensions. So I'd love to take it back a little bit here for people watching. Can you explain karma?
We think karma is we did bad, therefore we deserve bad kind of thing. We did good, therefore we get good. It's bullshit. It's not what karma is. I mean, if you believe that's what karma is, then probably that's your karma. Karma is kind of creation. Karma is cause and effect. Something happened, I created something, and here's the effect of it. So for you, even in the last episode, we talked about you got to that not good enough. That was the cause. Your parents split, cause, you created, I'm not good enough. Then the effect was everything that happened in your life until we resolved that thing. That's karma. So karma is not good nor bad. Karma is cause and effect. But there can be unresolved karma and resolved karma, or distorted karma and aligned karma. Karma that is in flow with the truth of divinity and source and oneness and unconditional love, and it's, you know, it's aligned to the divine will and the divine path. Or there's karma that tells you you're separate, aka I'm not good enough. And that creation then keeps affecting and affecting and affecting and affecting all of these things in your life. So a big part of the work that I do and that we do in Soul Path Mastery is get back to the unresolved karma that's causing all of these horrible effects in your life that you don't want, and we align it, we resolve it back into its original form and its original truth. So you can flow along again the the source creation light that we're all meant to kind of be at one with. Does that make sense?
It does. I think people will maybe understand it a little bit better when we talk about free will. We human beings are the only being that has free will in this reality. So when we're talking about free will, we're talking about having a choice.
Yeah.
Every other animal, every other plant, every rock is in flow with the state of nature. They are on nature's clock.
They are in
full
full
flow,
alignment
full
with
alignment.
divine will.
And nothing for any of them is good or bad. Does that mean that they don't go through pain or joy? No. As you can see with a dog, my dogs, they go in. Joey and Zeno had a fight yesterday. Joey went and attacked Zeno. All of us, I had to pry them off. They both moved away, shook. I think Zeno peed on the floor. And then they came back to homeostasis and everything was fine. They didn't carry with them any consciousness. There was, a trigger, it was a reaction, and it was over and done, and they move on.
They didn't create distorted karma around that. They didn't think, oh, I'm bad, and therefore now I deserve bad things to happen to me all the time. No. It happened, and nothing was really created from that.
But with human beings, if a dog comes or a snake comes or, if it came and bit us, I think that we would be able to move on. But when we look at the human experience and connection between the beings, we create karma because we're attached to a good or bad outcome in the moment, which is a choice. We have free will. We have a choice.
If you have a car accident and you're like, oh my God, that was so bad, I'm never driving a car again, well, that's your karma. If you go into the car accident and you're like, oh shit, that just happened, oh, maybe I'll be a little bit more cautious next time, I don't know, then that's your karma. That's what you therefore play out with because you chose to create whatever you created around the situation that happened. And this karma lives on actually when we leave our earthly bodies and we go back up into the ether or the soul, up as a soul, as an energy, and we come back down to the earth again, all of our karma, all of the unresolved karma that we've created in the earth gets stored in our earth heart chakra here. And when we incarnate, we connect with that. And it's like, oh, well, here's all your karma again. So because it's our job here, in essence, to resolve our karma. Now, what is resolved karma? Well, it's dharma. It's your purpose, Not always, but, that's part of that. So it's like, are we creating dharma or karma with every choice that we have in every situation that comes to meet us? And by every situation that comes to meet us, we have an opportunity to resolve that karma into dharma.
Beautiful. And I think that can really tie into working with clients as well as being on your healing journey. If you every day wake up and you believe that you are a victim of circumstance and, oh, this happened to me because of this, and, yes, but it's your responsibility to find the root cause where the consciousness was created and change it so that it stops creating more effect.
Exactly.
In life. Because once you resolve the root cause, it ends. So for example, if you watch the last episode, I resolved the root cause of my father wound deeper than I've ever resolved it before. It's not the first time I've dealt with my father wound, but I went further deep in it to say, I see that my love for my dad created a separateness that made me believe I had to perform or get abused. I knew that it made me believe I had to be abused, but I never saw that performance, that competition, that ego-driven came with that. It really does. It goes deeper every time. So the healing journey, as we talk about, it's cyclical. We do go back to the same things and we go back deeper. And once you've really resolved a lot of your earth human karma in this lifetime, we start to deal with past life stuff.
Yeah, which is exactly what was going on when we did the healing, my healing yesterday.
I work a lot with the shamanic elements, so when somebody creates a place, I know that this may be a shamanic soul retrieval journey, which means that we may be going to a past life. There may be a lot of astral travel that's involved in this space. Whereas if a client goes back to an older memory, you know that this may be more inner child work that needs to be done or past trauma. So Yeah. And how many past lives have you gone back to? I mean, I've been with you for at least 7. So
I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. A lot. There's been a lot. And it's not like I revisit them all the time, you know. Some of them, yes. And like yesterday, there was at least, I think, 3, maybe even 4 lifetimes that we kind of connected together in a thread that all held the same consciousness. And that's happened a few times when we've been working together. Like a soldier in this life, and then in the Holocaust in this life, and then I think there was another like whole different planet. All the same consciousness of pain and suffering was that one. This one was a little different, but there was still a thread there.
yeah, a massive thread, and there always is. And I think that when you have a large attachment to a relationship, so like we talked about before, for mine, the ancestral and the family stuff with me, it's a big part of what I'm working through in this lifetime. The relationship I have with my siblings, with my parents, with my grandparents, with who I've chosen to be my family is working here in multi-levels. With yours, it's so crazy how deep we get every time.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to kind of talk a little bit about what you experienced yesterday and how it ties in, because I think it'll help people watching to understand that you may have relationships in this lifetime that are solving karma from multiple lifetimes in the past.
Yeah. Triggering karma from multiple lifetimes, so you can see what you've created and heal that. You know, we all think it's a soul contract. It's a karmic soul contract sometimes. Yesterday, and you know, I'm doing a lot of spiritual work, like all the time. So what was happening for me in my life and what I was starting to become aware of in my 3D reality was this intense level of fear. I could feel that was present because I'm aware of my body, like an undercurrent of panic that was just kind of here. Now, I used to be like you were, running, training, because I couldn't sit still. I couldn't sit with that. But I'm consciously aware of like, oof, there's some deep fear here. This is not comfortable. What's going on? A lot of the triggering that had been happening in my life over the past week has been around money and safety. There's been all these big bills that have to come out, and you know, yes, it's flowing in, so grateful for that, but then it goes straight again, and there's just been this like around money. And so I was feeling extremely unsafe, extremely overwhelmed, and in a sense of like a deep panic attack, like on the verge of a deep panic attack. Like, this sounds so weird, but not consciously. Like consciously I was aware of it, but my physical body was there. Through some other spiritual work, I already found this belief that I can't survive. They were the words, I can't survive. When I started to really look at all of what was coming in my life, was like, I can't survive. So I've been running and fucking exhausted. So when you took me in, and you even said like, oh my God, she's exhausted, I'm just gonna hold, I think you said, was that right?
Well, you yawned probably 400 times. It was this yawning sensation, but the body was like this, but you were like it was like the body was running and the soul was exhausted.
Fucking exhausted.
It was like there was such a disconnect between the energy I was feeling in my hands and what the soul needed. It was like the body wanted to run, but the soul wanted to just plant. And it was a fight, like an internal fight happening in your body and your soul of like, who's going to win this time? You know, because that's kind of what's happening when our mind, body, and soul are out of alignment. The soul is bringing all these situations in to be like, look at me. And our body's like, no, I don't want to do that, right? And the mind is like, nope, we're not doing this, because the mind is trying to protect the body. But in reality, the creation is coming for it's all being created to resolve the karma.
Yeah.
It's not being created to punish us like we think, or it's really
for us.
That. So it was wild, because in my olden days, I would have continued to push the energy through and be like, let's fucking go. But it was like the soul was saying to me, she needs to stop running. Mm-hmm. So we called in an animal guide.
Yes, and you called in whale because you heard it like 100,000
Oh,
times.
yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. So we're going to really be in the ocean. And what I'm feeling is whale energy. So I really want you to connect with whale energy. I never bring an animal in unless I've heard it in my head 3 times. And I've heard it about 30 times in the last 30 seconds. So I know to bring that in. It's a trusting of intuition. And the more you do this, the more you'll know. So we're going to go on a journey with whale. When you're working with spirit, it's always like, I always say, you know, people ask me, when do I call in something that I'm hearing? And I have a rule, if spirit says it 3 times, I'll bring it into the space. If I hear it once, it's like,
Might be the mind.
it might be the mind. Yeah, but it was like whale, 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 whale. So what happened with whale?
So it was really interesting actually, because you asked me, which you do a lot, is like find your safe space. So you're actually in a safe space to even go anywhere, right? Because if you're not safe, well, you're not going to go anywhere. And what was a huge leap for me was I actually went to the ocean, which shocked me because, as we just spoke about, like deep panic attack in the ocean, like too scared of water. As you said, and I know as well, like usually when the whale's there, it's like about diving deep. So we knew this was going to be like a big session. Didn't quite know how big it was going to be, but yeah, it was about diving deep. But then also an animal that came into the session but has also been coming to me quite regularly that I'm starting to work with is tiger. And this is a really cool thing to bring up as well, because it's not always what we think it means. Like, so for you, what do you think and feel when you hear tiger?
Well, when I saw tiger again, I was also energetically seeing this fight between speed and running and the soul needing to slow down. And when I've always worked with tiger has brought me somewhere really fast. It's been we need to get in and out. So I could have pushed, but there was just a piece of me that was like, this needs to be slow. So I was asking you, what is tiger doing? Because it wasn't running for you actually at all.
No, it was sitting, it was protecting, it was doing this really weird thing throughout the session where it was just kind of like munching down on all of the emotions. Like, I don't know, it's just like, it's like hilarious, you know, and sometimes this stuff is really funny. So it was just helping me clear things, and it was very slow. It actually like reminded me of my dog a little bit sometimes. You know, the dog just like lies on their back and they're just like sunning their belly. Like it was almost doing that a little bit as well. It's just like, it was actually like slow down.
It's really important to, when we're working with shamanism and we're working with animal guides, this is inter-realm work. So we're doing energy work between the realms. As a human being, I, Chelsea, do not know what to do in those realms. I don't have eyes there. I don't have ears there. In this realm, I am a conduit and a channel for what goes on there. So when we're working with animal guides, what we're really doing is we're allowing the spirit of the animal to do this work for us between realms so that we as the human being don't have to.
Yeah.
It's almost out of our league.
Totally. And I think, you know, the animals are always teaching you and guiding you because they do have their own medicine. And so when you start to work with them, and I will continue to work with tiger if it keeps showing up, because there will be some deep medicine that I need to learn from tiger. We will continue to work with that. But the first place we went was straight into past life. Pretty sure I was a man, and I was running and running and running, like that same energy, like fucking exhausted, but running. And I ended up hiding in a cave behind this big boulder, but it wasn't shut. Like there was a bit of light, but I was hiding and I was exhausted. But I was also scared to hide because it was like, what if they find me here, and do I keep running? But I'm tired. And so there was this inner fight as well. Like, I'm still not safe. I'm still not settled. And the whole time tiger is there just making me feel very safe while I was in the cave. And you asked me, do you want to run or do you want to hide? And I actually said I want to hide.
And when you're in a session like this, you want to ask curious questions. I don't want to make any assumptions that she's in a cave or what needs to happen. So I'm going to ask her, what are you noticing now?
Like caught between wanting to stay in the cave and keep running.
When somebody's been running for lifetimes, they're exhausted. We don't need to push Kristy in this place. She needs to be held and loved and nurtured. And I want you to stay in that cave. And I want you to hide. And I want you to feel what hiding feels like in the body.
And that took us to a different direction in this life. And I don't know, which was a closet thing, which we have talked about on the other episode, which was huge as well. And it seemed very weird, again, to the mind, if the mind gets in and analyze it, well, why the fuck are we going back to the closet? That's so stupid. Like, makes no sense. But in the end, all the threads come together. So why did you ask me about, like, what do you want to run or do you want to hide? And did you know we were going to go back to the closet at that point?
It wasn't about the closet. It was more your energy showed me inner child Kristy again.
Okay.
So the way that you presented to me on the table was you could see the body kind of curl in. So from like the inner child, you want to think of inner child. She's like, oh gosh, like defeated and looking down. And your body showed me energetically a place that I've been with before.
Yeah.
And I said, do you want to run or do you want to hide? And when you said, I want to hide, it was almost as if you were shaming hiding.
Yes, I was.
And there was so much shame that started purging through. So I started to feel sick in my stomach.
And I want you to see if there's a past life with this little boy that needs to come forward. Yeah. And this is the original place where we were. So now we're going to work across time, space, and dimensions. Yeah, beautiful. This is the guilt that's coming from that. Beautiful. Allow this to move. And I'm just going to allow this energy to come and move from the hip. Yeah, allow it to move.
Oh.
I know. Ow, let it move. And I'm putting a bit of pressure here. Yeah. What does this energy need to move? What's in here? Yeah. I'm just going to lift her up here and allow the oxygen to move. Yep. Big breath in. Allow that energy to move up and out the throat. Now all that guilt from past life stuff, yeah? And we're gonna check into the throat. Yeah. And where do we close down the throat because of this?
With this stuff, it's like I had no idea what was really going on because it was, again, so big. But I'm just like, okay, I just have to follow my intuition here. We're going into shame. And that's when you started purging shame.
Yeah, and I was ashamed. And even that part of my consciousness hiding was like, I'm ashamed to hide. Like, there's this thread for me is like, I'm not strong enough. I have to be stronger. And that's played out in my physical life as a fighter. And, it's got me a very long way in athletic pursuits, but it's also, I've met like chronic fatigue twice in my life as well, because I've been running for fucking lifetimes, haven't I? The hiding thing, that physical hiding from my body, was also this deep shame of not wanting to look. And I spoke about this like deeply on that last podcast when we first went there. And I always thought, like, what happened to me as a kid, Like, something bad must have happened, because when I've met this consciousness in the past, which I'd never been able to get to the other side of before, it's like curled in a ball, hidden in a closet. Like, my eyes are so, and you can probably even see it on the video. I mean, you saw my body.
Yeah, you
like
came up into a bowl with your eyes like this.
Yeah,
too.
my eyes are squeezed so shut. Like, it's actually like quite intense on my physical eyes and my body, because I'm scared, I'm so scared to look. And again, the shame was, I'm scared to look. I'm embarrassed that I'm not even strong enough to look, like I'm not brave enough, I'm not strong enough. And so I was actually holding a lot of judgment around that inner child. And then there was all this guilt there, because there was that little boy, that little soul, that little spirit, that if we get back to what we started talking about, that part of me that could see interdimensionally and see ghosts and see spirits, that I shut down because I was scared of and I didn't understand. A part of me was judging and shaming that little girl because she also didn't help. Like, she wasn't strong enough to do her job. She wasn't strong enough to like do what she's come here to do. And so it's shut down. And there was this beautiful moment of like deep alchemy and forgiveness for me as this age to that part of me. And also that little boy, he was like, it's okay. Like, he came back and he's like, it's okay. I'm okay. You did your job now. Like,
I forgive you.
yourself.
But I think he said, I forgive you.
It was like a
Some sort of
multi-dimensional forgiveness. Like, yeah, I don't think he even needed to forgive me. It was more about me forgiving me, but he gave me that gift, you know?
Mm-hmm. And returning back to that consciousness was wild because, again, I'm like in my head, you know, the body was showing this massive fight between running or staying. But then we kind of went back again because you said, my own people don't love me.
Yes.
My own people are after me. I can't trust anybody.
Yep.
And that is something we've been working through, you and I, even in opening a business, is trusting and an understanding that when we start to share our gifts, our spiritual gifts that make us loony or crazy, there's a deep fear that our own people won't understand us.
Exactly.
So Kristy is now entering into a past life. She's already been to a cave where she was hiding, and now she's experiencing a vision where she's with a tribe, and she's being exiled. And they're chasing her. So she's been running, and I want you to say, what are you believing that you've done wrong? Oh, yeah. I want you to let it play like a movie and don't run. Watch. Yeah, watch. Nowhere to run, staying in the body. We need to stay in the body to face it. Beautiful. And you can see her eyes are fluttering because we are moving very astrally at the moment. Doing amazing. I'm so proud of you. What does this part of your consciousness need to be free?
And that was, again, we just talked about the loony bin. And I know there's a lifetime where my own family put me in the loony bin. Something's wrong with her, put her away. Yeah, it was the people, the tribes people were coming to kill me again. And the girl that looked in the pool. So, it's all this similar consciousness. We need to kill her. We need to find her. We need to kill her because she's different. And it was all around my voice and sharing my gifts. And currently I'm in the final few months of my channeling program and opening up to being this divine channel. And it's fucking scary because there's a lot of karma from a lot of lifetimes where I've been doing this work and I have been murdered by my own people, shut away, left alone by my own people. So it's very, very challenging to trust spirit, to trust God. There was a point where I was really fucking angry at God and my own spirit, and I didn't want to even trust my angelic higher self, who I am channeling and been working with, and which I'm working with beautifully right now. But I feel like I'm on the edge of a cliff, and she's like, it's time to jump deeper. And I'm like, I don't want to jump deeper. So we've worked together at this level, but whale energy, hello, now it all makes sense. It's you got to go way deeper with this. And there's physical, if we get back to the physical body as well, a very big physical trauma there. And my throat, if we talk, it's all about speaking and opening the throat. There was a point in the healing I felt suffocated and I felt like my throat was closing and it was very scary. And we spoke about anaphylactic shock in the last time when we started talking about these healings and physical, even kind of sexual trauma that's happened to my throat chakra in this very lifetime. And there was actually a point where I felt like socks were being shoved down my throat. I don't know what the hell that was, but that was a visual that was also coming through. And so, my God, it was just so multi-layered.
And it always is. And I think, we were talking about what the energy looked like, and we were starting in the hips, actually.
Yeah.
You had red energy in one hip and brown in another. And
That's
was
right.
how we started to shift was, can we pull the red and can we get rid of the
blue,
brown?
I think it was blue.
Or blue.
Dark blue.
Dark blue.
Yeah,
so we were
yeah.
moving the energy. So there are so many ways that that our mind can make sense of what's happening energetically. We don't really need to know because it was being taken care of. The energy and the healing is happening regardless of whatever the hell I did or you did. It's happening. We set the intention and we're trusting that spirit does this. But our mind is trying to make sense of it. And that's why I think when we work with shamanism and with the animals and with colors, we can kind of make sense of a universal truth, right? Universally, when we've done a lot of healing work, people see red and it's fear. Red is the root chakra. There's been so many different spiritual practices that have proven that when that comes up, it's that. But again, it's so vast what's happening. But there are ways to slowly start to trust the energy more and more. And when we work with animals and colors, I think it's kind of a nice way of understanding this interdimensional reality that's happening.
Yeah, and guiding you, I believe as well, like using those tools guide you to a deeper place. Like if we didn't use any of that, maybe I wouldn't have got where I got yesterday. Do you know what I mean?
Right, because we're trying to come to resolution. That's the other thing, right? Like if we were just going into energy healing, and this is where I believe guided sessions help a lot in where my journey is. I believe there's a time for no voice and for healing once we have peace in the body. But if there is a sign that the body is in a trauma response, can we help our clients? Can we guide them to a place of resolution where they have that aha moment of this is the thought that created this thing? And regardless if they got there on a fictional unicorn and a cosmic egg, jumping on top of a chicken, finding green into whatever it was that they needed to get to the thought that created the thing is the important piece.
Yeah, and that's helping. Again, when we talk about this kind of holistic healing, we're working on a level of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, like energetic consciousness, and weaving this all together. And I really believe that's how we really shift and change things, because we're working on a multi-dimensional, multi-level healing. So much is happening that, again, yes, you don't even have to understand, but the guidance helps the mind to come on board a little bit, which is sometimes very important, because if you are someone who has a very resistant mind, when the mind does come on board or can go, oh, there's a tiger there, like it can soften and actually surrender into the process as well, to therefore allow healing on those other layers to happen too.
Because there's so much going on. And as we all know, nothing exists but the present moment. They've actually proven in quantum physics that atoms can be interdimensionally. They're really proving
It's all
that
now.
all of it. Yeah, this is all coming out in the last week online. It's like they're proving that everything can be in multi-dimensions at one place, that cells can be in two places at once.
Epic.
And that they're proving this with science, which is wild to see the consciousness all shift. But what matters is that when you're setting an intention to shift your physical reality, you have to remember that there are spiritual things going on beyond what we can understand in this realm that we've decided to come into. But we can use clues from the physical body, the emotions that are coming up, and what our thoughts are to try to shift what the outer reality looks like. Now, a lot of people use psychedelics to go in and explore the spiritual realms, right? Because it lifts the veil. And I'd love for you to explain like the veil.
So right now, we are both actually in a 3-year mystery school. I'm in my 3rd year. Chelsea's just starting the 1st year. You're doing Path of Light. You're working with the masculine consciousness. I'm now in Path of Mystery. Had a couple of years break and then I went back to it. Why I bring this up is because in Path of Mystery, we are working with a sacred stone circle, and every week in class, we go and receive information, guidance from that stone. My stone is called the Great Mystery. Go figure. This week, it told me a very specific thing which actually helped to bring this healing about, that everything that is hidden is in plain sight. If you lift the veils of, and I can't even really say this word, but it came through very strong. I think it's anonymity, I don't know. Something like that. I actually had to Google the word because I had no idea what it means, and it's like a deep hatred. And I mean, that all plays out into the money thing that I was talking about, and the hate for the system, and why are we all in so much fear and trauma. But when I was sitting on that stone, after it gave me that, I sat on that stone and I started to see the veil lift. Everything that is hidden is in plain sight. When we lift the veil, and what I started to see was the multi-dimensions as I was sitting on that stone that are all here and now. Like all of the layers and the dimensions that are here that we can't see in the everyday realm, in our physical 3D world, because A, we're not taught to, we're not encouraged to, because if we could, man, we've got a lot of power in that place. We could heal like that and draw information like that, you know. So there's another whole system thing. I got to work with the deep hatred around all of that, but it's all there and it's all available to us. We just can't see it, but we can get there through these sorts of healing practices, through shamanism, through everything that we are doing with our clients. Like, you can start to lift the veils, because there's a 10,000 million veils and perspectives there. And there's a whole freaking universe inside of you. They actually say our physical body is an exact replica of the universe. Like there's a whole universe inside of you, but we're not connected to that. And that's why, like you mentioned plant medicine. Every plant has its own frequency and its own medicine. Some people know that because their veil has been lifted and they can speak to the plant. They can see the plant. They can see auras. They can see or feel, when we're working on each other, the veil is lifted and we are so in tune with the energy that we can feel what's going on. Now, we might not know the exact story, but we've allowed ourselves to lift that veil enough to get there.
Yeah, and I think to tie this all in, we are slowly evolving and expanding our consciousness just like the universe is expanding. But when we're lifting the veil, we can't just pick the veil up.
No.
If we looked straight at God, we would pass away. We would die because it would be too bright. The light would be too bright. We wouldn't function. We wouldn't be able to integrate that, which is why spiritual psychosis, spontaneous Kundalini awakenings, and all of these things really can create mental havoc where you end up in institutions and where you end up out in the streets and then you can't function in everyday reality because the veil lifts too fast, which is why titration is key.
Yes.
Titrating in and out of the spiritual world, making sure you're working with a facilitator that knows what the fuck they're doing and that can hold that and is doing their deeper work is so important. Don't just go and do ayahuasca anywhere. Don't just go do 5-MeO bufo at a party. Really understand that this work is so big, it really needs to be done safely.
And held and integrated. And I think, go to a class. It's fun, sure. But make sure you can hold yourself. You have the tools to hold yourself to integrate that stuff. Or you've got a facilitator. That's why we created Soul Path Mastery. So we can take people to these places through their trauma, connecting with their soul, clearing all of this karma so they're, living and shining their brightest light, living in their truth, their authentic self. But we're holding them for a period of 6 months to help them integrate this again into the physical world, into their every single day life, because that's why we're here. We chose to come here to heal our karma and to be in physical form. The spirit and the physical isn't separate. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, and I think for each one of our clients that has come to work with us, they've started to see, having somebody to hold you and guide you through that. That's why we created it. I wish I had this program when I was going through this, because it took me 10 years of chaos of trying to figure out what was real and what wasn't, and fear and all of these things perpetuating until I started to understand creation and thoughts and manifestation, and the true manifestation, not I wrote down I want a big house and it came, true manifestation of understanding the creation consciousness that's created the outer reality from the inside. And so I think for people looking for that level of depth, come do Soul Path Mastery with us. We would love, love, love to hold you through that and be that person that understands the weirdest, most crazy revelations that are coming from your spiritual experiences, because you're most likely going to be the black sheep in your family.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest and crazy thing, but also the most beautiful thing, right? You wouldn't go back, really, would you?
No. I think sometimes I'm like, for fuck's sake, why did I take the red pill in the Matrix,
Well, you're also a healer, so, there's that continual level of, healing. So there's always going to be deeper layers. You're always going to be on that cycle because of what you've chosen to do. Not everyone's choosing nor wants to be a healer in this work. I'm the same. I'm like, oh my God, it's always something. It's always coming up. But that's what we've chosen. Not everyone's going to feel like it's over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
If this does feel like your purpose in this world is to help the world heal and to understand spirituality and to understand consciousness and karma, all of these things that come in to bringing the spiritual world into the physical reality and combining the mental, the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual into one, then the Embodied Healer program is for you. It is a 1-year mentorship where you'll be working with Kristy and I, and you'll end up being a Kundalini facilitator, a shamanic Reiki master. You'll be working with cacao, new moons, full moons. You'll understand somatics, myofascial release, and really, really understanding the body from a karmic and deep, deep spiritual level. So if you're interested in that, I highly recommend reaching out to one of us on Instagram and applying for the program. We're not taking that many students. This isn't going to be a massive, big scale thing, because this is a deep, deep deep dive into your healing journey. Every week you will receive a healing and you will start to work with the energy, and we'll hold you through all of it, even when you start working with clients. So I hope that this entertained you, as well as gave you some insight into the vast things that can happen on your spiritual journey. And if you're interested in taking this to the next level, we will be offering shamanic Reiki training online as well as in person. We have our embodied healer program, our soul path mastery, and we'd love to work with you. So if you liked this podcast, make sure to give it a like, comment below on any topics you'd like to see in another podcast, and make sure you share with your friends so we can get this information out to more people. Rate and review, because it really, really helps us. And we're looking forward to connecting with you on social media. See you soon.